I never thought I'd be telling this story, but here we are. My name is David, and what happened between me and my mother-in-law Margaret changed everything in my life. This isn't what you think, though. Let me start from the beginning. My wife Sarah and I had been married for 3 years when her mother Margaret moved in with us temporarily. Her apartment was being renovated after a pipe burst, and she needed somewhere to stay for a month. Sarah was thrilled. I was less enthusiastic. Don't get me wrong. Margaret wasn't a terrible person, but she had this way of making me feel like I was never quite good enough for her daughter. The first week went smoothly enough. Margaret kept to herself mostly, spending time in the guest room or helping Sarah with cooking. But I noticed something odd. Every time I came home from work, she'd give me this strange look, like she was studying me, calculating something. Then things started getting weird. It began on a Tuesday evening. I came home from the gym and went straight to our bedroom to change. I opened my dresser drawer where I keep my casual pants, and immediately something felt off. My jeans were folded differently. I'm particular about how I organize my clothes, and these were definitely rearranged. I shrugged it off, thinking maybe Sarah had done laundry. The next day, same thing. My khakis were in the wrong order. Then my dress pants. Someone was going through my clothes, and I had a sinking feeling I knew who it was. I decided to test my theory. That Friday, I deliberately left my favorite pair of cargo pants folded in a very specific way, with the left pocket slightly pulled out. When I got home from work, I checked immediately. They'd been moved. The pocket was tucked back in, and the pants were refolded completely differently. My heart was racing. Why was Margaret going through my pants? What was she looking for? Was she suspicious of me? Did she think I was hiding something from Sarah? My mind went to dark places. Maybe she thought I was cheating. Maybe she was looking for evidence of some secret life. I couldn't tell Sarah. She'd think I was paranoid, or worse, that I was accusing her mother of something sinister. I needed proof. So I did something I'm not proud of. I set up a small camera in our bedroom, angled toward the dresser. I know. It sounds extreme, but I had to know what was going on in my own home. That Monday, I went to work as usual. The whole day, I couldn't concentrate. I kept checking my phone, wondering if I'd catch Margaret red-handed. When I finally got home, I rushed to check the camera footage, making sure both Sarah and Margaret were in the kitchen, and there it was, clear as day. Around p.m., Margaret had entered our bedroom. She walked straight to my dresser, opened the drawer, and started going through my pants. But here's where it got really strange. She wasn't searching the pockets. She was measuring them. She had a tape measure in her hand and was carefully measuring the waist, the inseam, the leg width. I sat there, stunned. What on earth was she doing? Why did she need my measurements? Was she planning to make something? But why not just ask me? And why the secrecy? The paranoia intensified. I started imagining scenarios. Was she making a voodoo doll? Was this some weird ritual? Was she planning to frame me for something by having clothes made in my size? I watched crime documentaries. I knew how these things could go wrong. I confronted her the next day. Well, confronted is too strong a word. I awkwardly mentioned that I'd noticed my clothes being moved around and asked if she knew anything about it. Margaret's face went bright red. She stammered something about checking if the dresser was dusty and quickly left the room. Now I was even more suspicious. She was clearly lying. That night, I barely slept. Sarah noticed I was on edge, but I blamed it on work stress. I couldn't tell her that her mother was secretly measuring my pants for some unknown, possibly nefarious purpose. The next few days were torture. Margaret avoided me completely. She'd leave a room when I entered. She stopped making eye contact. The tension in the house was thick enough to cut with a knife. Sarah asked multiple times if Margaret and I had fought about something, but we both denied it. Then, exactly 3 weeks after Margaret had moved in, Sarah told me we were having a family dinner that Saturday. Margaret's apartment was ready, and this would be her last night with us. I was relieved and terrified at the same time. Relieved she'd be gone. Terrified I'd never understand what had been happening. Saturday came. Sarah's brother Tom and his wife Lisa came over. Margaret had cooked an elaborate meal. Everyone was laughing and chatting, but Margaret still wouldn't look at me. We sat down to eat, and after the main course, Margaret suddenly stood up. "I have something for David," she announced. My blood ran cold. This was it. Whatever weird plan she'd been hatching was about to be revealed. She disappeared into the guest room and came back holding a large wrapped box. "I wanted to thank you for letting me stay here," she said, handing me the box. Her voice was shaking slightly. Everyone watched as I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was the most beautiful pair of custom-made pants I'd ever seen. They were perfectly tailored, with reinforced knees, extra pockets for tools, and made from this incredibly durable material. I don't understand," I stammered. Margaret finally looked at me, tears in her eyes. "Sarah told me months ago that you'd been wanting to start woodworking as a hobby, but you were putting it off because you didn't have the right gear. I used to be a tailor, David. Before I retired, I made custom workwear. I wanted to make you something special, but I'm old-fashioned. I was too embarrassed to just ask for your measurements. She paused, looking down. "So I measured your pants while you were at work. I know it was wrong. I should have just asked, but I wanted it to be a surprise. And I was afraid if I asked Sarah, she might accidentally spoil it." The room was silent. I looked down at these incredible pants, perfectly made, with such attention to detail. She'd even embroidered my initials inside the waistband. "There's more," she continued, pulling out a matching work apron and a tool belt from another bag. "These go with them. I know I've been difficult sometimes. I know you probably think I don't approve of you. But the truth is, I see how happy you make my daughter. I see how hard you work, how much you care. I wanted to do something to show you that I notice, that I appreciate you." I felt like the world's biggest idiot. All those weeks of paranoia, all that suspicion, and she'd been making me a gift. A thoughtful, personal, incredibly kind gift. "Margaret, I couldn't find the words. This is the most thoughtful thing anyone's ever done for me. Thank you. I'm sorry I've been acting weird lately. I noticed my clothes being moved and I didn't know what to think." She laughed through her tears. "You must have thought I was crazy, going through your things like that." We hugged, and it was the first time since her arrival that the tension finally broke. Sarah was crying too, happy tears. Tom was making jokes about how I was now obligated to actually start woodworking that night. After everyone left and Margaret had gone to her newly renovated apartment, Sarah and I lay in bed. "You know what the funniest part is?" I said. "I set up a camera because I thought your mom was plotting something against me." Sarah burst out laughing. "You did what?" "Oh my God, David. My mom was making you pants, and you thought she was. What exactly did you think she was doing?" "I honestly don't know," I admitted, laughing at myself. "I watched too many true crime shows. Those pants became my most prized possession. I did start woodworking, and I wore them for every project. Every time I put them on, I remembered how wrong I'd been, and how a simple conversation could have saved weeks of unnecessary stress. But more than that, those pants represented something bigger. They were a peace offering, a bridge built between two people who'd started on uncertain footing. Margaret and I grew closer after that. She taught me some basic sewing skills, and I built her a custom sewing table for her apartment. Sometimes the things that seem suspicious or confusing have the simplest, most beautiful explanations. My mother-in-law didn't get into my pants for any sinister reason. She got into them because she wanted to show me kindness in the only way she knew how. And honestly, they're the best fitting pants I've ever owned.